America is on edge after 3 nights of protest in several U.S. cities. Political author Rick Shenkman joins us live from Seattle to discuss the unrest and much more. Let me kind of throw at you Donald Trump tweeting that these protests unfair, incited by the media, made up of professional protesters. Last night we spoke, I said last time we spoke to you during the campaign, you were saying Trump basically had tapped into the anger of voters. It also seems like he's engendering a great deal of anger.
Well, exactly. There's a concept in the social sciences called loss aversion. Loss aversion means that when you lose something, you really feel it intensely. And before, it was the white working class voters who were really feeling the anger. They were feeling really betrayed by the system. Their children didn't seem to have the same prospects that they had had. They feel like the country politicians are always talking about black people, or they're talking about Muslims. They're not talking about their concerns. Well, now the shoe is on the other foot, and now you have a lot of these Hillary Clinton supporters and true blue Democratic voters who are really, really upset, and it is totally understandable. Donald Trump ran a racist, xenophobic campaign, and now people are living in fear. What's going to happen to the 11 to 12 million people here who are undocumented workers who risk now being thrown out of the country? What about Muslims coming into the country? Are they going to be barred at the door? So there's a lot of reason for people to be angry and upset and fearful.
Okay, so how can you mend a country so badly split after this bruising campaign?
It's only going to get worse, not better, as the news comes out that Hillary Clinton, according to the New York Times, apparently won not just 200,000 more popular votes, but 2 million more popular votes than Donald Trump. 2 million more votes. Holy cow, that is going to make people angry. You want to believe that your democracy is fair. Well, this does not seem to be fair. Twice in 16 years, the winner of the election wasn't the person who won the most popular votes. We've never had that in American history before. We've had it on occasion. It's 4 previous times we've had somebody in the office who didn't win the majority of the popular votes, but never within such a condensed period like this. It's going to make people really, really upset.
There is a petition out there urging electors taking part in the Electoral College to cast their ballots reflecting the popular vote, which you were just talking about, and not based on the electoral math. Where do you see that going? Is that a non-starter?
Well, there are even some attempts right now, as the vote counts are continuing in several states. They haven't finished counting the votes. And after you count up provisional ballots, it turns out that maybe some of the states that were given to Trump aren't actually even going to go to him. And by one political scientist analysis, it's possible we're going to wind up 269 to 269 with neither candidate winning a majority of the electoral vote. And if that happens, the election then goes to the House of Representatives. Well, the Republicans dominate the House of Representatives. They'll wind up voting in some Republican, either Trump or Pence or somebody. And holy cow, this country is just going to go on fire. So I don't see things getting cooled down right now, and there's nothing Donald Trump can do except try to continue like he has over the last 2 or 3 days, where he's finally seeming to be a little bit on the presidential side.
It's interesting, there was this Bush doctrine to export democracy, but in the last 5 elections, as you point out, in 2 cases, the majority rule did not apply. The electoral math, very different from the popular vote. And we also saw in June, following the Orlando terror attack, 90% of those polled wanted tighter gun control laws. Lawmakers refused to listen to them and the will of the voters, despite urging from the United States president. So is U.S. democracy broken?
It is broken. There's no question about it. It's broken when in 16 years you can have 2 winning candidates not be the winner of the popular vote. It's broken. We are saddled with an 18th century antique that is not working in the 21st century. There are going to have to be some major constitutional changes before this thing gets righted. This ship right now is tottering.
Let me ask you about the Trump transition, naming the team, Chris Christie on the decline, Mike Pence on the upsurge. Any signal on what this might mean as Trump is president?
Chris Christie right now has so much trouble in New Jersey with Bridgegate that there's really no way you could keep him in a position of prestige and power. So I think they've just basically shunted him aside because you can't leave somebody like that who's so damaged in such a responsible position. So I think that's what that is about.
All right, Rick, thanks so much for your insights. Really appreciate it.